Now, if you're a Ghanaian, I'm sure those of you who use public transport, I'm sure you realize that transport fares are up, despite a directive from the ministry that it should not go up. Even GPRT has not come out officially with transport fares, approved transport fares. But a number of transport operators have increased their fares. They are complaining that fuel prices are up, cost of spare parts, cost of doing business even at the DVLA has shot up, then cost of importation of cars has shot up. And so there is a need, especially when fuel prices have gone up, to increase transport fares. How much do you pay on your usual commute? I mean, have you seen a significant change in any of the fares that you pay? Well, let's hear from a section of the public on transport fare increment.
Na abano binyansa kwan bi atoto petrolum ketenkete ontumi 1 cedi ama hu se e bi obonso wa no atu 50 pesos 70 pesos that time no adeba ko a me answer that time so obi anti o ba ye kote so 10 pesos we say Ghana central form obi ya te petrol so ba ye te so a wo mun ka percentage ya te so e bi ya te so bi a 1 cedi da by no answer central phone obi a bebre no a me na ya te fuel so na me say minim say aban na mo owo so no say omo ya da na dia I don't know yen drivers no yen ni kita kuro no say drivers fo ni ho no a Ghana hanum no e dey me bebre betesi imagine say dey man na all dey cost wa charge be e bia 10,000 imagine say ahin na so sanje eye me kwapa me kita ka tuwa ikrampo no fu asese me to no. In fact, some can how because last year this year said want to petrol no one shed ya tutum sa about up to now.
The beer me ejuma sisi ya na say passengers for ne ba na to anye ye tu ye fe ni mo omo complain bi say affect omo so omo dwumadu omo kwa kodi wo other places no. Nti no I think say me so me dwen say ankomo omo ni edi ni mo no. Ni nyina ba bi si fuel no. Nti no me kakra ma adwen che kakra wo no se mpenifo na wo so mo hwe fuel no se fuel no e koso a entimi nkoso be kwa me driver me sika meje no eno so nkoso ye because enya koso na uyi enda fo ni fimu a obia se ye tumu no ankwa bia de no so ntem se driver fo de no be delay a nti delay no ni driver no ma lusu
Ade ba ko ya na di hu ya kakra ne se yanya driver for say yete femu a ye twen ma omampani oni yampani for kasa ansa na ye no ade atu ansa na ye fe di bede atoso nti abane na kire ye yenyi ye be adwuma obi abie provision store okofa ni ma o market would be good store ni mo a.
Well, so those are some drivers and commuters who are lamenting the hikes in fuel prices. That's it for Inside Out. No more ranting.
Right, so it's time for us to hear from Murtala Yunusa, who has been to the various courts to tell us about what he has been able to uncover from the courts as regards cases. You know, I met Murtala in court today.
Yes. Yesterday. Yes. So you met him in court yesterday.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I met him in court yesterday.
It was my guest. You were my guest.
Yes.
Right.
I was seated with him in the courtroom of Justice.
Ifyasewa.
No, not Ifyasewa.
Okay. I want you to remember
the court of appeal judge sitting with additional responsibility as a high court judge. Is it Justice Mafo? Right.
So Justice Ernesto
Usudapa. Sorry.
Yes.
Justice Ernesto Usudapa.
Okay.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
It was a beautiful experience.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful. In fact, the courtroom was all about advocacy.
Yes.
And you heard from the lawyers, you heard from the bench, and then the witness who was in there. In fact, it was a Saglemi case that Lantam had the opportunity to sit through, and was so amazed that he had that particular experience. He had fun as it was. Lily, I will invite you to come along.
Absolutely. I definitely want to be your guest.
Listen to the banter, the objections, the overruling of the objections, sustaining the objections. and all of that. It was very,
Yeah, it was very
the law is
sweet, very interesting and all of that.
So let's begin. But before we went to the Saglemi case, right?
Sexy Don Don.
You were with Sexy Don Don's case.
Yes, Sexy Don Don.
What happened?
Yesterday, the court gave him an ultimatum.
Yeah.
Come, open your defense, or consider your case closed. That was it. No less, no more, no less. This was on Tuesday. On Monday, he failed to show up in court, and we're told that he wasn't feeling well. But there wasn't any document to show that he was unwell. And the court says that no, you have to appear. If you are coming to come with a certified medical report signed by the certified medical officer. So yesterday, initially the court fixed the case for 1 p.m. Yesterday at 9 o'clock, when I got to the premises of the court, Sexy Don Don had arrived, even though his case was meant for 1 p.m.
Oh, as early as 9.
As early as 9.
Oh, that's good to know.
So by 10, he was out of the courtroom, and we're wondering what is happening. Are they going for a break, and after a certain point where they will come back? Then at 1 p.m. when the case was called, we're being told that yes, the young man is not well, and he has to take his medicine. And the way they take medicine in the prisons is that you take your food, then you go and see the medical officer for your medication. They don't give you the medicine. So he has to take that medicine at 12 noon, and the case was fixed for 1 p.m. So the judge allowed that they take him back to custody, to the hospital, to go and see the doctors for his medication. So yesterday, yes, he under the invitation, he came, but of course he couldn't step in the witness box to give his evidence because he was unwell, and the court has, as it were, agreed that he's taken back to see doctors for his medication. So yesterday he came, but no show. Earlier we told you about the fact that the lawyers want some witnesses to pin. The wife of J.B. Dankwa-Edu, Ivy Boache, is one of them. The house help, Jennifer Achama, is one of them. Honorable Kennedy Ohine Japan, member of parliament for Asin Central, is one of them. Then Madam Esla Owusu-Ekufo, Mrs., is also one of them. So he want these people to come to court and explain their role that they play. For Madam Esla Owusu, he alleges that it was a woman who picked up 2 of the prosecution witnesses. Those 2 gentlemen were told that were phone repairers. And then they repaired. They were the one that Sexy Don Don sent the late J.B. Dankwa's phone to repair. And then they have information. The 2 of them, they are brothers. Madam Esla also took them to Kanda Highway, handed them over to the police. They said they wanted the woman to come to court and give an explanation, at least tell the court something. Then Kennedy Japan, they said he was all over, interviewed, granting interest, so he has so much knowledge, and they want him to come and give information. And for the wife, they say that he was present in the house when the incident happened, and the court will have to hear from him. That's the basis of calling these, asking the court to spin up this with.
I guess after all of this, the case was adjourned.
Yeah, the case was adjourned. It's been adjourned to 29th of April. So on 29th of April.
All right. So from there, you moved to Saglemi.
Yes. Saglemi affordable housing. Then before I talk about Saglemi, yesterday when there was the rain dropped, the heavy rain actually created some issues in one of the circuit courts. So the visuals, yes, on your screen, circuit court 8, and so this was after the ceiling, as it was, a lot of them just broke,
caved in.
Absolutely caved in. Yes. So the
bad.
Fortunate thing was that the court was not sitting at the time. The judge is on leave.
You can imagine if
at the time that the incident happened, the court was in session. You can understand what would have happened. So that is the fortunate aspect of it. But of course, this is what happened. The impact of the rain yesterday, as it had a toll on the judiciary, and one of them is that the circuit court 8 yesterday, the ceiling just caved in, and a lot of so they'll have to take care. And in fact, that particular, if you go to the has been renovated, and I'm actually surprised why this very incident happened.
So they'll have to look into it, maybe some structural integrity issues or some engineering issues that were not addressed properly. Okay, so let's come back to
this Saglemi, your favorite Lantam's case. I must as well leave that one to you to update us, because you were in court and
yes, Lantam.
I like the fact that
I was just an observer.
So yesterday was further cross-examination. Lawyers of Alhaji Zebrim Yakubu, the third accused person, who happens to be the former chief director of the Ministry of Works and Housing and Water Resources. And yesterday, the lawyers took the first prosecution witness, Mr. Reverend Stephen Yao-Says, who is currently the chief director of the Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing, to cross-examination, and they are done. And Lantam witnessed some of the objections that were, as it were, characterized yesterday, especially at one point in time when the counsel for Alhaji Zebrim Yakubu, Randolph Chumasi, indicated that he's done with his cross-examination. And the court said, look, there was a question that you threw, and I want the witness to throw more light for the purposes of clarity, and it became an issue. Counsel said, look, that is my cross-examination. I want the witness to give me certain answers, and he has given that. There's no need for the courts to, as it were, interfere with that. The court was of the considered view that the court must also be clear on certain things, and it became a banter, left up and down, and then you have to rely code sections, rely on provisions within the law, and at the end of the day, all that the lawyer wanted was that his objection should be put down. You know, in the course of proceeding, they document, they record virtually everything that happened, just in case a time may come that they decide to go upstairs, Court of Appeal, to go and appeal. They will need that record. So it was fought and back, and at the end of the day, the court allowed him to move his objection, and eventually was overruled. The court also stated his reasons, and Lantam loved that section so much that
it was a beautiful banter between the judge and the lawyer. It was a beautiful
banter. But you have to be very, very confident. You also know your stuff before you can stand before the court and then submit your stuff.
So we are waiting for you to be called to the bar so that we also see you in action like that. But let's talk about what's coming up in court.
Absolutely. Today. So this case, the Saglemi, it's also on today. Yes, it's also on today. So at this time, a lawyer for the fifth accused person. We are jumping the fourth because the contractor has passed on. So to be the fifth, Nuvi Tete Angelo, the businessman, the fifth accused person, whose lawyers would subject the witness to cross-examination.
We'll be in court again today.
Come again.
We'll be in court.
Oh, definitely. I look forward to see both of you. Not you alone, but Lily.
Okay.
Yes.
And then today as well, spousal salary.
Yes. The Fiamapo. So first lady and second lady on your screen there today, and then Roxanne Dafiamapo in there. Today, the Supreme Court is taking a decision. Both of them, Roxanne Dafiamapo and Abronye, have filed separate cases challenging Professor Iya Ntiamoa Bedu's committee's report recommending that the first and second ladies be paid. Article 71 office holders.
Be paid as Article 71 office holders.
Absolutely. And they are saying that no, that particular recommendation should not be adopted. Both of them filed separate cases. At the point in time, it looked like it was similar. They made a call for it to be consolidated, but they noticed that there were two dissimilar cases. So today, the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice, will chair a panel of 7 to deliver separate judgments in one Roxanne Dafiamapo's case and then Abronye DC's case. So we expect today to happen. Initially, the court fixed February 28th to deliver judgment, but it was deferred. So today we expect that the 7-member panel of the Supreme Court.
So they don't believe that these individuals are public officers.
Absolutely.
So they should not be considered as Article
71 office holders
to be paid.
So today the Supreme Court will make a pronouncement as whether it is right or it is not right. Okay. That is what we expect.
And finally, the Beige Bank case continues?
Yes, the Beige Bank case continues. 61 witnesses, one down. The second one is in the box today. The witness, Mr. Sogbojo, will be facing further cross-examination from state prosecutors led by Mrs. Evelyn Kilson, so a chief state attorney, I might say. So today, before Justice Ifiasewa Saributwe, we expect that case to also come at 12 noon. Yes.
Transport fares that are on the increase. Some transport unions have increased fares about 20%. The Transport Ministry is still negotiating with them to increase it to about 15 or 10%. Will they heed to that call by the Transport Ministry? And of course, Ghanaians are also up in arms against these transport unions that, listen, Ghana is hard. You still want to increase transport fares. How do I survive? My guest this morning, Professor Benedict Afosu-Mensah, is a member of the NDC communications team. Pretty shortly, Ellen Amadeko, who is a member of the NPP communications team, will join us. But Professor Benedicta Fosu-Mensah is here. Prof, good morning to you.
Hi, good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Always a delight to see you.
Yes, so nice seeing you too.
Your party will outdoor your running mate today. What does it mean for... I mean, first off, as a woman, prior to her being named or her announcement, was that something you were looking forward to?
Thank you very much. Good morning to our cherished viewers. I want to say that women have been in the political front for some time now. And most often when you look at the political landscape, the proportion of women that we find in frontline politics compared to the men, you realize that the percentage of women are it's very low. When you look at parliament, when you look at even active politics in various fronts, you realize that women, we are quite less. But when you take the population of this country, I think women, we are about 51% now. I'm told it's even gone up a little. And so it's expected that people who are majority in terms of population figures, when it comes to decision making, we should be well represented. I want to say that, well, though previously the numbers have been very low, now it's quite encouraging. And I want to use this opportunity to salute His Excellency GHOne Mahama for choosing a woman as a running mate. Not just a woman, but an astute woman, a woman that is a definition of what we call a virtuous woman, a woman who is hardworking, very brilliant, someone who is very well experienced. Talking about Professor Nana Opokwajiman has been one of the I'll say the first female vice chancellor of University of Cape Coast. She is the chairperson and president of Africa Women Educationists. She is also the chancellor of Women in Africa University. So you can see that she is not just an ordinary woman. Again, she was the former minister of education. We all saw what she did during her era. I mean, so for me, I see it as a great honor to have a woman coming on board, not as driver mate, but as a co-driver that will steer the wheel of this country to our destination, which is the promised land of prosperity, the promised land of jobs, the promised land of happiness. So we will see that come 2025 January onwards, if you want to assess the happiness index of individuals within this country, I am pretty sure would go up, because we are going to have a woman as a co-driver. And we all know when women are given opportunity, they serve in diligence, they serve with honesty, they serve in a manner that when you look at it, you can only say wow, and that is what she brings on board. And so in our tradition, and in Ghanaian tradition, women are normally relegated to the background. And anytime I have the opportunity, I always say our great-grandparents those days, if they had to choose between a man or a boy and a girl going to school on an opportunity, they always choose the male over the female. But today, we are seeing a change in trend, even in our schools. You realize that I mean, I teach, and even my class, the females that are in the class are doing pretty well, even more than the guys. So for me, I just think that, well, things have changed, and I am so happy, and I salute His Excellency GHOne Mahama for giving this opportunity to a woman to be a co-pilot. And I know that things are going to change. There will be a lot of dynamics, because she brings a lot on board. She's not just coming to be at the background as a driver mate, but she is a co-pilot, which means that there are major decisions that will affect our lives positively. She would do that. And as a woman, we have seen that over the years, almost close to a decade, if not more than a decade, the Female Affirmative Action Bill has been in Parliament. It has not been passed. And we know that there are a lot of things that affect women in this country. And sometimes because
what prevented your party from seeing to its passage prior to the 2016 elections?
You know, as I mentioned, that it's about women, and you know, sometimes you need the voice. You need people to bring out issues that affect women, and for that matter, some of these bills needs to be passed. So if we have a few women who are in the realm of affairs, women who sometimes are not allowed to even let their voices be heard, sometimes some of these things are pushed under the carpet, or even if they are brought on board, because there is no the force to push it, you wouldn't get some of these things, you know, passed. You know, let's take for example the issue of LGBTQ bill. You know the kind of resistance that it received. You know, but because of that push, you know, we are where we are today because of the force behind the bill. So the same way, I feel that being a woman, understanding our issues, our challenges, you know, our societal problems, and also the role we play, she will factor all those things into whatever policies or whatever support she will give to women, to let our voices be heard, to let us be well represented as far as policy and decision making is concerned. So I think women, I think coming to this election, we all need to come on board and support NDC's Excellency John Dramani Mahama to win this election, and we will be well represented. And I think issues concerning women would also be looked at, because we now have a woman as
was John Mahama pressurized to re-announce Professor Jane Opoku-Agyeman because women are in the majority, and if he didn't, it would have gone a long way against the vote margin for the NDC?
President Mahama,
because you know, prior to her announcements, there were a lot of names bandied about, and so people were thinking that, well, she may be dropped, and others were also saying that if she's dropped, then it means that the NDC does not believe in women. And so was he under pressure, or was he pressurized to settle on her?
President Mahama is a man of his own. I mean, he's self-independent. He's not forced to do what he thinks is not good for him. And as running mate, as president, though you listen to people, but the decision rests or lies in your hand. And I think President Mahama was not forced or pressurized to choose Professor Jane Opoku-Agyeman, but he sees her as a woman of substance, as a woman that brings a lot on board, as a woman who brings dignity, as a woman who brings, you know, respect, a woman who is hardworking, very brilliant, a woman that will take decisions or implement policies that will affect Ghanaians positively, but not a woman who will live a life of flip and flop, say one thing in opposition and say another or different when in government. He knows that this woman is a woman of substance, and so even though there were names, you know, coming up, that did not deter him, or that did not distract his focus. He knew what he wants, and he went for it. And I know that NDC are all in support of his decision, and that is why I call on all women this morning that we need to support His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and Professor Jane Opoku-Agyeman come December 7th, so that this country will see a lot of liberation from poverty.
Why does it seem like the NDC is fixated on the central region? If we look at the statistics, the central region is a swing region. Why is NDC fixated on the central region when it comes to choice of government?
I don't think it's an issue of region. I think the party has a lot of issues they consider in selecting vice president. And so it is not about region, but there are a number of factors, and probably the region could be one of the factors, but it is not the sole factor in selecting a running mate or a vice president. It just happened to be that all our vice presidents happen to come from the West Central region,
with the exception of
and so I don't think it is just that they are focused or fixed there that the vice president had to always or automatically come from the central region. I don't think a lot of factors, including the personality of the individual, including other factors, and region base could also be a factor, but not the main factor.
In spite of the NDC showing, for want of a better word, love to the central region, the central region has not really shown you that much love in terms of votes. In 2016, the vote margin was evident. In 2020 as well, even though your running mates were all from the central region.
I don't think that. So
what impact will this make this time around? Will this make any inroads going into the 2024 general elections?
No, when you look at 2020 elections, in terms of vote margin and the number of seats, NDC has done well in the central region. Central region over the years is known as a swing region.
Absolutely.
And also, normally people would want to use central region to predict the outcome of election. That if central region, if your vote margin within central region in Greater Accra goes up, then you are likely to win the election. I want to say that when you compare 2016 election as against the 2020 election, NDC has done well in the 2020 election. And I would accredit this to His Excellency Professor Nana Jane Aichiman. And I know that come December 7th, we are going to see massive support from the central region, especially when the MPP promised them a lot and have failed. You remember the issue of airport, when they said they were going to build an airport for them, and they asked that where is the airport, and His Excellency Nanado said, Mankanisa, I never promised you an airport, but it was on record that EMPP promised Central Region Airport. So all these factors, again, are going to determine massive support for the NDC. And of course, Central Region have seen also the kind of suffering we are in today. That they promised us that the CD was going to be better when they come to power. Today, the CD have virtually broken jail and is on the run. They promised us that there's going to be prosperity. Today, World Bank report shows that as of 2022, 850,000 people have been pushed down the poverty line, which means that more people have become poor or poorer than they were in 2016. Look at this morning. The price of a gallon, the price of a liter of fuel is virtually the price of a gallon as at 2016. So with all this, I know that Central Region or the people in Central Region are also feeling the hardship, the difficulties, the challenges we are in as a country, and would base their voting pattern on that, because every rational being would want a better life, and it is the mandate of every government to improve the lives of its citizens. And so if you come and the lives of citizens are worse off, I don't think it's worth keeping you in power. And that is why we call on Ghanaians that come December 7th, the only ballot to vote for is His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and his vice or running mate, Professor Nana.
What new thing do you think Professor Jane Nana will bring to the ticket of John Mahama?
There will be a lot of new things. Very soon we would outdoor our manifesto, and you will see the great things.
We are adoring her today.
Yes. So, and she will definitely bring out some of the policies she intends to implement. But there are good policies. For example, the 24-hour economy. I mean, we say that is the game changer because as of now, we have seen an increase in unemployment. They took unemployment from 8.4% and today we are 14.7%. They took inflation at 15.4 today. Today we are over 23% inflation. The CD was at 4 CDs. Today we are talking about 30. When you look at the economic index,
in all of this, you keep banding about 24-hour economy. What are the modalities? What is the 24-hour economy?
The 24-hour economy, I mean, we talked about the fact that there will be 3 streams of employment. So instead of just going in the morning and then that's all, we are going to have people go from morning to afternoon, others take over, and then the third people will take over even whilst others are sleeping. And we are saying that now with having just one stream, you are adding 2 additional streams. That means that 3 streams will have 3 streams, and this will allow for a boost in the economy. So for example, in the construction sector, instead of just working in the day, you will have people who would roll up to the program, working throughout the 24-hour or throughout day and night, which means that if you have a project that is supposed to take, for example, 2 years because of the 24-hour economy, that project life duration could be maybe 8 months or even less. And also issues of processing or industries. Instead of just working during the day, we are saying that with the 24-hour economy, you can work the whole of, the full day. And also, during the off-peak hours, you would have less or reduced price of energy in terms of per unit kilowatt. And that will also will reduce the cost of production because energy is needed, especially when it comes to industry. A lot of energy is needed in order to carry out the activities of the industry. So if energy prices are reduced in the off-peak hour, that will be savings for the entrepreneurs or the businessmen. And this is more or less like money in the pocket of this individual. And also more people will be employed. We will have more people employed in the production sector. We also have a lot of security men. We need a lot of security men, which means that a lot of young guys there who are looking for a job within the security sector would also get the opportunity of being enrolled in the security because we need more people in order to make sure that people are secure during the hours, especially odd hours like at dawn or after 12 midnight when people are going to work. They will have that sense of security because there will be security men at vantage point to make sure that no criminal take advantage of people who are going to work or coming back from work. So all these things are going to boost the economy because you have more people working, and that will mean that the government will also get more taxes and also plow back this tax into the economy in terms of development. So that would be a game changer, especially because of the crisis in which we find ourselves today.
Prof. So Ellen Amadeko has joined us. She's a member of the NPP communications team. Ellen, good morning to you.
Hi, good morning.
How are you doing? It's good to see you as always.
My apologies for being late.
For coming in late. Okay. Topical that we're discussing prior to your entrance was the outdooring of Professor GHOne and what will add to the ticket of John Mahama and what it will change, and whether or not it will influence the choice of a running mate for the NPP.
Again?
Yes.
They are doing another outdooring.
Yes. Today. So the first one was an announcement of her. This is the official outdooring of her as running mate.
I keep on saying that it doesn't look like the NDC is serious about winning this particular election, because we are a few months away from the general election. You are doing 2 outdoorings for a vice presidential candidate that you brought to the last elections.
Yeah, 2020.
This is not a new person. This is not somebody who is new to the system. It is not as if you didn't know that she was the one you were going to pick. You have announced it months ago. and you, instead of finding other matters to discuss, you are having a whole ceremony to outdoor a 73-year-old grandma as your vice, and you want us to go gaga about it. Whilst under you, when you were president, just last week, one of your appointees have been put in jail for stealing. A woman. Yes. I mean, she's actually broken the record in this country for public officials who are so corrupt and have been caught by the law. Since the Fourth Republic, I am yet to hear of any woman from any of the political parties who have been appointed to any position of power.
Did that sadden you as a woman?
It did, because we are pushing so hard. And then one of us gets an opportunity and you go and mess up in this spectacular way. And that person was appointed by the former president. She worked under him. She was head of an institution, Maslock. That one is not their concern. How to alleviate that damage and the damage they are doing to women in politics, that's one. They are adoring. Let's go on for another topic. I don't think it's an important thing we should talk about.
But I mean, there are calls for a female running mate to Dr. Bawumia. Is that something the NPP is looking at?
The NPP, we have our ways that we do our things. Fortunately, the women in the NPP, we have not disgraced ourselves to the extent that our sisters in the NDC have done. They have one of theirs in jail. We haven't. So if Dr. Bawumia along the line decides that he wants to pick a female vice president, well, good enough. If he decides that at this particular instance and with what the NPP seeks to achieve, he does not necessarily have to pick a female, fair enough. My issue this morning is that the NDC should be more serious and get into the vein and into the flow of things. Our adoring grandma at this time, I believe, is a waste of time and resources. Everybody knows who she is. Everybody knows what she's supposed to do. The last election, what she was supposed to do. The last election, she couldn't do it.
You call her grandma, is that not unfair?
What is unfair?
Because does age matter?
I haven't said that. As I sit here, I'm a mother of two. I'll be surprised if somebody calls me a mother. Ama, you have a children, and I'll get angry. Why should I get angry?
Oh, so you are referring to her because she has grandchildren?
I mean, she has grandchildren, or she doesn't?
She does.
Is she not 73? I'm 42. By God's grace, I'm praying that God gives me the grace, the long life, so that by God's grace I also hit 73. And at that time, hopefully, my party, if I still have the strength and the energy, I could also be considered. You never know, anything can happen.
But could your party consider you too?
At this stage, I'm not ready yet. Eventually, I'll be ready, but I'm not ready. Politics, life is a process. You prepare yourself. I am not ready yet. But maybe, you never know.
Are you eyeing a top job someday?
Well, why not? I'm in politics for something, so yes. But I don't see why the NDC is also up in arms about this title of grandma. When I hit 73, and my two boys, by God's grace, they have children, I would not be offended in any way if anybody calls me grandma, because you are. My issue this morning is that I believe that we have a lot of things to discuss in this country. The NDC, as I said, they are not even ready for this election. If they were, there were other pressing matters that they should be concerning with their campaign and with getting themselves ready. Not re-adoring somebody you adored 4 years ago. It didn't make any impact. You have announced it 3 months ago. It hasn't made any impact. In fact, after that announcement, that was when the famous Kwesi Ahoy statement came out with all the issues surrounding her. You are not done with that. You are going for another adoring.
When is Dr. Bawumia announcing his running mate? Some say that he's under pressure.
Well, every presidential candidate would be under pressure. Even the NDC, who knew that grandma was the one they were bringing, they were even under pressure. So how much more Dr. Bawumia? Dr. Bawumia would adore, I believe, very soon.
We have seen a few reports. Some say Thursday. I saw on one of your colleagues' posts that a certain name will be announced on Thursday.
If any official communication will come from the General Secretary, and everybody will know it. I know that he and the NEC is the highest decision-making body of the party. He would have to bring the name. The NEC will have to sit down and look at the person, whether the person would align to our mission and vision,
values.
Mission and vision for election 2024. That is why we pick vice presidential candidates, candidates who would help your main candidate to win elections. The job of a vice presidential candidate is to help the presidential candidate win elections. It's to help the presidential candidate when you come into power to also govern the country. And so we do need somebody who would help Dr. Bawumia, like how he has helped His Excellency Nana Addo to do his work. And when the party is ready, I believe it should be very soon, that announcement will be made. This morning, we are not talking about Dr. Bawumia's.
No, I mean, I'm only asking because the NDC is outdooring their...
The NDC picked their presidential candidates more than a year ago.
Yes.
And it's now that they are outdooring. So everybody should take their time. When Dr. Bawumia is ready, his running mate will come. We can assure Ghanaians that his running mate will not be outdoor twice.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about the... You have any rebuttal?
Yes.
Okay.
You know,
a quick one. We have to
it's quite funny that when the NPP communicators get a list of opportunities, they just run their lips or run their mouth as if you're having diarrhea. And also the fact that they have scripts, that they always read from their scripts. Talking about corruption, the NPP is known to be people who have bathed, eaten, and they are swimming in corruption. And so when she talked about the fact that NDC, somebody has been jailed, and so NDC is corrupt. The president had been described in terms of people who are corrupt. The president had been described as the mother serpent of corruption. That means that there are a number of serpents that are described as corrupt people. And our president is described as the mother serpent of corruption. And so if Ahmad sits here today and it's like one person is in jail and that and that and that, well, she's just forgotten about Cecilia Dapa.
Madam,
she has forgotten about the PPA deal.
Is she jail?
This is a married deal. It is a matter of time. It is just the matter of time. During COVID, the money that the government of Ghana received and how the money had been misappropriated or the money had been allocated will all be investigated. The deals that we have over the years within this area, it will all be investigated. So it's just a matter of time. But I'm so saddened and I'm so surprised that Amadeko is calling Professor Nana Akufo-Addo as grandma. If you call Professor Nana Akufo-Addo as grandma, then how will you call your president?
His grandpa. He doesn't mind.
How will you call your president? So it is not about age. It's about what you bring on board.
She's only referring to as a grandma because she has grandchildren.
That is a level of disrespect.
Okay.
As far as that statement is concerned, it is just shows that Amma is a very disrespectful lady to call somebody a grandma. How do you call your president? Is your president a grandpa?
Yes, he is.
You cannot describe Professor Nana Akufo-Addo as grandma as far as the running mate issue is concerned. We are talking about a very intelligent woman, a woman who has achieved a lot, a woman who is an accomplished woman. And so if you sit on television and you call her grandma, and so it is not important. Look, she's talking about the fact that NDC is adoring its running mate today. You haven't chosen your running mate. As at now, there are still people lobbying and, hyping themselves to become this thing. His Excellency Bawumia, after today, is not a man of his own. The running mate will be chosen for him. Everybody knows. And so if you come here and you are condemning NDC, the fact that we've chosen a female as running mate. I'm told they are even struggling to also choose a female as running mate because, it's a party that is copy-paste. And we saw that copy and pasting in even our president's speech. That was so shamefully copied from another state, another president's State of the Nation address or speech. So you cannot take these people as serious people because they are people who just do copy and paste. They are struggling to even find a female to be a vice president. As we said, His Excellency Bawumia is not a man of his own as compared to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. We are talking about a woman who is an accomplished woman, a woman who is very brilliant, a woman that we can describe, or the definition of a virtuous woman, is what she represents. That is the woman we are talking about. We are talking about a woman that will come and, you know, be a co-pilot and not a driver's mate. A woman who would come and support His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to steer the affairs of this country into the promised land of prosperity, of jobs, of happiness. And so if you come today and you just talk about the fact that she's a grandma, nobody should. I remember very well when His Excellency Professor Nana GHOne was mentioned as the running mate in 2019 thereabout. They tried to dig everywhere to find something against her to use. Unfortunately, they didn't find anything. That is the woman we are talking about. A woman that had nothing as far as corruption is concerned. But what can we say about their vice president? A man whose office, his assistant used his letterhead to write and forcefully take somebody's rice and distribute it to people. Meanwhile, the person is still at post. How can you describe that person? This is a man who led the Ameri renegotiate the PDS that changed the conditions that they are supposed to meet before the contract was signed. He changed it. That is also amount to corruption. And all these things, you do not see anything wrong with it. Then you come on television and you are calling somebody a grandma. Well, the most important is that NDC has selected a woman that is an accomplished woman, a woman that has no tack of corruption, a woman who is brilliant, a woman who would come and change the affairs of this country. And that is the most important thing. And I call on all women out there that we need to support our own. We need to vote for a president that takes responsibility of affairs.
Right.
A president that can solve the problem of this country.
Right.
Not a president that will send us back decades of years.
Okay, so we move to our
We are
next
not
stop.
moving, please.
Okay.
She made certain character assassinations that you didn't correct, and I want to bring it. I am not a disrespectful woman. I'm an assertive woman. It is not my fault that you can't stand what I'm saying. You do not come on certain TV and insult your co-panelist. If I'm going to descend the same way and insult you, this program will close. I made my statement and I stated facts. Is it not fact that Madam Sedinam Tamaklo is in jail or has been convicted to go to jail for stealing? Is it not fact that she was appointed to head Maslock by His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama?
That is all.
Is it not fact that under his watch he sat down for her to perpetuate such thievery, especially against people in Kantamanto whose shops got burnt and government gave her money to distribute to them and she took the money? Is it not a fact that she's an NDC woman? Is it not a fact that under this fourth Republic dispensation, she is the only woman who has been convicted of this act? And so when I say that the NDC should rather think about this and how to repair the damage she's done to women in politics, you're calling me disrespectful? Which MPP member, right from President Kufuor's time, when President Kufuor became president, in his 8 years, which of our members, ministers, former appointees is in jail for stealing? When the NDC took over power in 2009, His Excellency Jonathan Mills, may he so rest in peace, started some prosecutions against some MPP ministers. If you remember, every single one of them was acquitted and discharged, not one. But we have more than 10 of your members in jail. This woman is just an addition. And so when I state that instead of spending time, resources, outdooring an already outdoored grandma, you get annoyed that I'm calling her grandma. Is she not grandma? What do you call a 73-year-old woman with children who also have children? And you're telling me, won't I call His Excellency President Nanado, won't I call him grandpa? Yes, I'll call him, and he accepts it gladly because he's proud of his children, he's proud of his grandchildren. Under a lot of circumstances have we seen celebrating the president as a grandpa. His birthdays, he actually celebrates his grandchildren. So I don't see why she's up in arms over the fact that I've called the woman a grandma. Is she not a grandma? And you sit here and you insult me. I don't want us to spoil the program. So I'll let it pass. But the next statement she makes, that is insulting to me. We'll close the program. We can now move on.
Okay, so we'll move to our next topic. Erratic power supply worsens. Ellen, since you landed, I'll allow you to take that up.
I do have a beef with ECG. Let me be very honest with you. It's obvious we have issues with power supply. My beef with them is what is wrong with information? What is wrong with giving us information? Every aspect of the society, every aspect of our economy has gone through some turmoil in the last 5 years. We cannot say it hasn't happened with the post-COVID situations and everything. But what you need to do is to give people information. You just do not switch off my lights without telling me. And we've been asking them, and it's so annoying, honestly. They have to give us information. If you're having problems, and they've done it before, earlier on in the year when they were having issues with power supply from the West African pipeline, did they not tell us?
Yeah.
Didn't GHOne come and tell us through them that we are having some issues, we haven't paid our bills, we'll pay and we'll correct. And within the time frame that they specified, they did that. So what is it with this current one that they are not telling anybody anything, and it's just irritating it's irritating everybody. So please, ECG, your PR or everything, when you have an issue, you give us some explanations about localized issues and all that. Well, transformers.
Now, PRC is saying that's actually untrue.
Well, so what is it? What is it?
Well, I am learning that it is only the Energy Ministry that can give us a timetable. But the Energy Minister says we do not need a timetable.
Whatever the problem is, ECG is the one, the distributor, and they actually interface with customers.
Yeah.
So if you're giving me a service and there's a problem with the service, state it. That Spintex around the Bachuna, whatever that area, you're going to go off for the next 5 hours, for the next 6 hours, so that people know, and then they can plan. But this business of, and you know the sad thing, this weekend I was so pissed. Look, my area, one street, the one that there's a
which area is that?
Around the Spintex area.
Okay.
The houses across the street had lights. We didn't have lights.
That is so. That is actually one of the most painful things when you are seeing your neighbor with lights and you don't.
So it's not as if it's all of us.
Yeah.
What is it? So my whole lane, the lane behind me, we didn't have lights. The lane after us, they had. So then the question you ask is, what's going on with them? My issue with them this morning, with ECG this morning, give us information. You give us the information, we know how to plan. We even know how to defend you. As it is now, I cannot defend you because I don't have any information.
That's true.
It's as simple as that. So they need to give us information. Other than that, everybody will be on their case. All of us will help everybody to be on their case because we are all suffering from this matter. You've been able to keep the lights on solid for years. So what's happening in these last 3 months? And we're not going to pamper you. Especially when I can see my neighbor having light and I don't.
Puff.
Yeah, Lily, it's quite shocking when you see the level of hypocrisy in the NPP. Sometimes it's so shocking. And when they talk and they look so serious, you can only laugh within yourself because it's just unimaginable how they show a lot of hypocrisy when it comes to issues affecting Ghanaians. Suddenly, the DUNSO is the fault of ECG and not the government. What happened in 2016, 2013, 2014, thereabout? How come they didn't mention ECG as the people that plugged the country into darkness? They were mentioning John Mahama as if John Mahama was the CEO of ECG. How come today they are mentioning ECG?
Not to cut you, but don't you think it is because information was flowing at this juncture? We do not know what the challenge is. Some say it is financial challenge. Others say it is generation capacity. We are unable to know as Ghanaians what the real challenge is. And ECG is unable to tell me, and so I'm unable to plan my life accordingly.
And that is why I'm saying that it's all as a result of hypocrisy. Not being sincere to ourselves. In 2012, 2013, up to 2016, the NPP was out there shouting His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was incompetent because the light went off. And I remember very well the current Minister of Communication said that anytime the light went off, she cursed the president. I'm just wondering today if she's cursing Nanado for her light going off. The challenge why ECG is not publishing timetable is because this government knows that when they publish timetable, it means do so. For now, they are saying that it is not do so, it is doom CSC. But you see, they always think that whatever they say is what we think is the reality. Now they've been exposed big time. They can no more deceive Ghanaians. They can call it doom CSC, they can call it maintenance, but as far as the citizens of as far as Ghanaians are concerned, it is doom so. When your light goes off and comes on without any information, it is doom so. Nana himself defined what is doom so. He says when your light goes off and come on, it is doom so, doom so. And so what we are experiencing today is doom so, doom so. Whether they are providing us with timetable or not, it is doom so. The NPP is deliberately forcing ECG not to come out with timetable because they know when ECG bring out timetable, they will say, oh, that is it. You accused NDC in 2016 and we are back to the same square. But in the reality of the problem is that we do not have money to pay the power producers. That is the challenge. And we are not getting money to pay power producers because of mismanagement. Because this government borrowed and spent as if there's no tomorrow. Doom so was solved in 2016 before His Excellency John Dramani Mahama left power. And they just couldn't maintain what he bought or what he fixed. What they did was to relocate the plant to Kumasi and renamed it without even acknowledging the one who brought power. All they kept on saying was that we had excess capacity. There was excess power. Mahama made them to produce a lot of power that we didn't need. That cost the government. Where is the power today? As of now, I'm told that they've even issued is it an alert or a message to ECG not to export power? We should consume everything here. Meanwhile, when ECG or VRA export power, they get a lot of money, to support their operation. Now they are saying that do not export power. They've forgotten that because of a visionary leader, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, a problem solver, a man who takes responsibility and wouldn't run away from problem, but solved it because of that visionary leader. In 2017, 2018, we enjoyed some stable power because of the investment he made. When they came, what did they do? Even ESLA, that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama created so that we will use the money within that coffers to solve problem of the energy sector. When they came, they used that money, they collateralized it and took more loan and have spent it. Surprisingly, you would have expected that when there was some money in the coffers of ESLA, you would have probably used that money to solve problem or, if possible, buy additional power plant to increase, the amount of energy we have, because of course the population is increasing, and when population is increasing, the demand for energy also increases. So you would add on, knowing very well that at every 2 years or more, you will have an increase in population. And also because we are growing as a nation, you may have more industry adding up onto the existing one. And so we need more power. That is what everybody would have expected that they should do. But instead, they collateralize the money they found in the coffers, took more, and all they did was consumption. They just spent it. They can't even account for the money they borrowed during their that time. They took the public debt from 120 billion Ghana cedis to over 600 billion Ghana cedis. Then you ask yourself, the almost 500 billion that they borrowed, where is the money? What did they use the money for? That a very important sector like the energy sector, they couldn't add a single megawatt energy to it. Today we are back in doing so. And when you ask for a timetable, the energy minister, the arrogance of power he displayed and said there was no doing so. And if we wanted timetable, we should prepare our own timetable and bring out. Knowing very well that everybody depends on energy for almost everything. The industry depend on it to produce. Market women depend on them. Even the salon, the hairdressers depend on this energy in order to, make their ends meet. And so if you, because of what you said in 2016, and you feel that Ghanaians will come after you, and so you are deliberately punishing us by refusing to release timetable, it's like you are just adding pain or salt to our injury, or it's like we have an old wound and you are just scratching the wound again. That is what these people are doing. And I'm so surprised that Osafo Mafo is saying that it is only the energy minister that can authorize that. What is preventing the energy minister from authorizing the producing of timetable? Is there something that they are hiding? Why is it so difficult? Why suddenly ECG is having maintenance everywhere? It's so surprising, and sometimes it's so shocking that when they are lying, something that is so obvious, and they keep lying. You have communicators arrogantly telling us that, look, it is maintenance. Look, it is maintenance. When ECG is saying that it is not maintenance, they cannot buy gas, they cannot pay power producers, they are owing contractors, even national service personnel are owned, their own babies. Now they are owing them. Nurses haven't been paid, teacher trainers haven't been paid. Today, government deduct our end of service benefit, our SNIT deduction, and you expect that money should be paid into the account so that people that goes on pension will receive this. Government is doing the deduction all right, but we cannot find the money in the coffers. Where is the money? So when they sit on television, instead of being remorse, instead of telling Ghanaians that they promise us heaven and they are delivering hell, instead of being apologetic, instead of being sober, they sit and arrogantly tell us lies that is so obvious that it is a lie. When your light goes off for more than 24 hours and it's something that happens persistently, and tell us that it is maintenance. What kind of maintenance that cannot be resolved? How come suddenly the entire country we are having maintenance of our transformers? So look, the NPP can deceive themselves that they will go out there and lie to the people, but Ghanaians are people who are very intelligent. They are discerning people. They do not need the NDC to tell them what is happening to them, because they can feel it. What is happening, the doomsday, the pain, the suffering, the excruciating pain, and the inflation, the increase in fuel, that prices of transport have gone up. And the fact that if you're a worker, you need more money to buy fuel to go to work, and for that matter, the amount of money left in your pocket has reduced. These are reality, and they do not need the NPP to tell them that things are good for them to know that they are lying. Sometimes when they talk, we all just laugh at them, because what I feel what I feel is more real to me that you say out there. If you tell me there's a lot of money out there and I don't have the money, how would I believe you? So the NPP can keep on deceiving themselves as an ostrich because they have buried their head in the sand. They think that nobody is seeing them. Everybody is seeing them. There is Dumso. The problem of Dumso is that the government does not have money to pay the power producers. Now, thankfully, we have a dashboard that you are able to see the amount of energy produced on daily basis, 24 hours, and shows that the amount of energy produced on daily basis is reducing. There are some plants that are not producing anything at all because the government is owing them so much and they haven't paid. That is the reality. And the government haven't paid because our economy is described as a junk state, an economy that cannot go to the international market and borrow. And we are where we are today because of reckless expenditure, because of an elephant-sized government, because we have a government that will not listen when you advise them. They tell you that they have the men and the women. Now the men and the women and the economy is in a mess. Total mess. Our educational sector is in total mess. Our economy, everything is just in the negative direction. And surprisingly, the driver mate, you have a driver who has driven us into a ditch. A driver, an experienced driver with license. And we know the driver mate, most of them do not have license. And now the driver mate is telling us that the driver that have driven you into the ditch, give me the car. If you are a passenger, would you want to entrust your life into the hand of a driver mate? A driver, a mate that is assisting a driver that have driven into a ditch. Now you want to give the car to that mate. I know Ghanaians are very wise and very smart people. They are seeing everything that is happening. And so do not trust or put your life into the hand of a driver mate that does not have a driving license. Rather put your life into the hand of a real driver. A driver that will drive you into your destination. That is His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Come December 7th, go out there and vote for him.
Okay. Ellen, you have some rebuttals?
I do have quite a lot. This morning, His Excellency the President will be in Yendi. Is it Yendi? But he's somewhere in the northern region to commission, I believe, a solar project. As I'll have to get the
detail.
The kilowatt, what is added to it, but it's not just, it was built by the Bui Power Authority. So if you're asking what we have done to add on, I believe we had a discussion with one of our energy experts, the one who went for a presidential, the name will come. No, the other, the recent one, I'll remember his name, where he has explained the number of kilowatts. Is that the name? Kilowatts that have been added? Megawatts that have been added. What we're trying to do is to also add other sources. And solar. I mean, the sun shines so brightly in Ghana, and that is something we should look at. The Bui Power Authority is doing that. They have some in around the Bono area that has been working, has been adding on to our national grid, and now the one at Yendi is also coming up. So when you ask us that what have we added, we are moving. We are moving from the old ways. We are adding new ways, renewable energy to it. And then you look at the fact that you're mentioning that electricity or VRA has been asked not to export power. But what sort of economic and business sense would it make that your own people do not have power to use and you're exporting? Your children do not have food to eat. And you said, I'm going to sell the food that I have to somebody else. And what is wrong with that? If the government or the energy ministry asks VRA to hold on with the export of power, let us sort our situation out before they resume. That one too, you have a problem with it. And then the question I asked, you said Ghanaians are intelligent. Of course, Ghanaians are damn intelligent. And that is why 4 years ago, they refused to give this country to you and your people to run. Because obviously, under the former president who is coming back, I call him same old. Under his tenure, we remember the 4 excruciating years of sleeping in darkness and our businesses failing. There were times when GHOne, you had to go off for days because you simply did not have electricity to work with. You cannot compare that situation to what we are going on or is going on today. We have had electricity since 2017, up until just about 3-4 weeks ago. And that is why I was on the case of the ECG, that if there's any problem, which we cannot say that you're 100% agency, you will not face problems. Give us information. But that does not give the right to the NDC to be up in arms. I mean, if somebody in Ghana have to talk about darkness and do so affecting us, it is not the NDC. They do not have the moral right to do so. They shouldn't even talk about it, because when they were in power, it was a worst terrible situation. And unfortunately for Ghanaians, that is the person they are bringing back. We are talking about driver's mate. When we have a driver who ran the bus into the ditch, the bus had a whole accident. 1 million, over 1 million Ghanaians said that the bus we gave you, it is accident beyond repair, beyond recovery. We went to the insurance company, we got a new bus. You want us to hand that bus over to you. When you have your motto that you are coming is that when I come, I'm not coming again. You have 4 years. Who are you going to account to? So when it comes to governance, when it comes to elections, when it comes to people who can do the work and do it well, His Excellency, the former President John Mahama, and his running mate, Grandma Jane, do not stand anywhere near His Excellency Nanado and Dr. Baumia. As I said, Ghanaians have a right to complain if their electricity is not going well. I am a Ghanaian. I have complained this morning. But definitely not Ghanaians who are NDC, who under their tenure, we went through such suffering. That is not what we are going through now. The ECG should tell us what the problem is. Even in the last few 2-3 days, I've realized that some areas are saying that their power situation is getting better. Excellent. But some people are also going through it. So give us information. I will not stop saying this to the ECG and the Energy Ministry. Give us information. But that does not also negate the fact that people who should talk about this matter, NDC is not part. Because barely 8 years ago, you were in government and we slept in darkness for 4 years. So please, if the lights are going off for a month, 2, we are talking about it, we are sorting it, you do not have the right to talk about it.
Some Ghanaians are calling for the head of the Energy Minister. Yes.
Well, this is a call. And it's the president's prerogative. They have a right to the call.
You think Ghanaians have a right to that?
But Ghanaians have a right to everything. That is constitutionally mandated. So if somebody feels the energy minister is not doing well and he wants to call for his head, call for his head. But whether the president feels the same way, that's another matter. For me, I believe the energy minister has done quite well in the last 4 years that he's been there. He's done his best. What he needs to do is to get his agencies, that is the Electricity Company of Ghana, the VRA, to give us information to know. Every department, every minister goes through these patches. Information is what we need. But as I said, as much as we are saying it, people in the NDC who have ruled this country before, we gave them our power sector. They messed it up big time. They don't have a right to talk about this matter.
This is a bit off. I want to ask this. It's a bit off what we're discussing, but for you as an MPP member, you saw some of your members defect to Afafanto. Now a chunk of them are coming back. Is it surprising to you?
What is the life expectancy rate for a
butterfly?
So if you are with the elephant, you decide you're not happy with something and you move and you go there and the butterfly is now dead, because the butterfly, I believe, they are now forming alliances. The people's problem is that the alliances they are forming they don't like. And you want to come back home. You are welcome with open arms.
Oh, you're welcoming them back?
Why shouldn't we? I mean, politics is about numbers. So if your brother or your sister says, I'm going somewhere, he's decided he's not coming back. Well, I mean, he's coming back because that place didn't work for him. Would
you then trust this brother?
Why? What is there to trust? He's coming to get the work done. Politics, as I said, is about numbers. This gentleman who is leading this group, I believe he's from Adenta. He stood in the elections and he says, I'm coming back. Perfect. They are welcome back.
Prof, I see you've been scribbling a number of things. We want to quickly move to our next topic in 5. We have just 5 minutes to wrap up.
I'm just so surprised. She's still calling His Excellency John Mahama as somebody who has run the country into a ditch. Now let's look at the economic indices. 2016, the cedi to $1, was 4 cedis. Today, we are talking about 13, 14 cedis. Inflation was 15.4. It went as high as 54% and now coming down. We talk about debt to GDP. It was 56%. Now debt to GDP ratio is 104%. Our debt in 2016 was 120 billion Ghana cedis. Today we are talking about 610 billion Ghana cedis. We talk about debt, let me just get it right. Our budget deficit in 2016 is 6.1. It went as 12%. And so if Ama is here talking about the fact that a president who had $1 to a cedi, 4 cedis, and your president today, we are having $1 to a cedi at 13 to 14 cedis. You call that as a good economy? Then you are just a hypocrite. At the time that we were buying kenke 50 pesos, today kenke 5 cedis. You tell us that 5 cedis kenke is better than 50 cedis kenke. You can only be described as 50 pesos. You can only be described as a hypocrite. In 2016, a bag of cement was 23 Ghana cedis. Today, a bag of cement is 97 Ghana cedis. You can only consider the person who says that today's economy is better than 2016 economy as a hypocrite.
Okay.
In 2016, how much was a gallon of fuel? It was 14 Ghana cedis. Today, we are talking about 50-something Ghana cedis. How can you tell us that today's economy is better than 2016 economy? So look, I am saying that the NPP are behaving like ostrich. They think that because their head is in the sun, nobody is seeing them. But you see, your whole body is out there. Now, nobody take His Excellency Bawumia as a serious man, because he said what? When they come to government, there will be a lot of jobs. In 2016, unemployment was 8%. Today is 14.7%. How can you tell us that when you come, there will be jobs and jobs and jobs, and we are having an increase in unemployment? You say when you come, you arrest $1. The time we were talking about arresting $1, it was 4 Ghana cedis. Today we are talking about 13, 14 Ghana cedis. So how can we take you serious? Nana, His Excellency Nanado said that what? Yetisikasu enso ekomodie. And so when he come, he will not borrow. Today, His Excellency Nanado cannot even go and borrow because he has borrowed and took our debt from 120 billion to over 600 billion Ghana cedis. And today Nanado is afraid to sign LGBTQ plus bill. Why? Because Nanado is afraid that he will not get it when he signs. Meanwhile, this is the man who was telling us that Ghana beyond it. So you can see that he was not just truthful to us. He was just deceiving us. Saying that Ghana beyond it. Meanwhile, he didn't mean it. Because he is now saying that if he signs, there will not be money. And so he's afraid to sign. So how can we take these people serious? They are people who have deceived us into power. And I think Ghanaians are now widely awake. Nothing, no propaganda, no gymnastic would change our mind, because we have seen them. The West, we've seen it. Now we cannot go to the international market because our economy is described as a junk status. And so if she sits here and she's just tickling herself, saying that, oh, we are good, we are better, and Mahama was incompetent, it is not about what she says that matters. It is what the people are feeling. And that woman who is out there, that trader on the street who is running after buses to sell her ware that people cannot buy because they don't even have money, what they are feeling is what they will express come December 7th.
Okay. Ladies, unfortunately, we're out of time. We'll have to end it here. We couldn't touch on our final topic. Thank you very much, ladies. Elena Madeko is a member of the NPP Communications team, and Professor Benedicta Fusumensa is a member of the NDC Communications team. That's it for the Breakfast Review. We're back with more after this break. Stay tuned in.
Stephen Adai. And the TUC accuses him of consistently attacking the Ghanaian worker and calling the Ghanaian worker unproductive. And the way they view it they believe that he is anti-Ghanaian worker, and the claims that he makes about the Ghanaian worker do not have any merit. We want to interrogate those issues a bit further today and try and understand the perspective of the TUC. But Dr. Kwabena Nyako Otu is here in the studio, Director of Research at the TUC. Doc, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too, and thanks for having me.
How have you been?
Managing.
Just managing.
Yes.
And how is the TUC?
The TUC is okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
That's good to know. And before we even get into the conversation, I would just like us to play back a little bit of what Professor Stephen Adai has been saying. He sat down in an interview with Francis Aban on State of Affairs. Take a look.
The Ghanaian worker is one of the least productive worker in the world when they are in Ghana. In fact, about maybe 10 years ago, the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences asked me to give a lecture on productivity in Ghana. So I was forced to do some research. And I found that in Africa, given the same conditions, qualifications and everything else, the Ghanaian worker was among the least productive worker in Africa. And Togo, to me, what shocked me in my research was that the Togolese worker was more productive than Ghanaian, which I wanted to see evidence of it until I started looking at Togolese workers and construction in Ghana. Their productivity is far superior to the Ghanaian worker, a mason, electrician, and
Tyler.
everything. Yes, tilers and POP,
Yes.
Pariso. And oftentimes people think that they are Ghanaians. They speak Latin, but they are not Ghanaians. And some of the construction people actually look for them because of their quality work. I think one of the worst legacies of colonialism in Ghana in particular is the Abenjuma mentality. Abenjuma, government work.
After all these years,
Yes,
that still exists?
it's still there. And the private sector people actually sometimes are at the point of weeping, in the sense that not only is productivity low, but the people really sabotage. They are, almost to be blunt, they are there, most of them, just to steal.
So that's Professor Stephen Adai sitting down in an interview with Francis Aban on State of Affairs here on GHOne television. And this, like I was telling you earlier, doesn't sit well with the TUC. The TUC had a response. And in fact, they say that they find it very strange and unfortunate that a Ghanaian professor of the caliber of Professor Stephen Adai could make such statements about the working people of Ghana who are sacrificing so much for the development of the country. And they go on to list all the other times he's on record to have said something negative about the Ghanaian worker. But the prof said he did research because he was to speak somewhere, and so he had to do a little digging and research. And these are some of the findings that he came out with, or the findings that he came across. And he's just putting this out there. Exactly why do you have a problem with what Professor Stephen Adai has been saying?
Okay, so to a very large extent, if you listen to him,
Yes.
some of the things are street knowledge. It's like anybody in the street talking based on their personal experience. And professors don't have to rehash street knowledge. We need a well-researched evidence to be able to make the kinds of sweeping statements.
But he alludes to something like that, you know.
Okay, so he says that he did research
Yes.
some 10 years ago. We are struggling to find our research report. So, in fact, search research report, if you Google, you must be able to find it. We have struggled to find that report.
But have you asked him about it?
We have asked him about
Have
it.
you-
So in the letter, we have told him that we are struggling to locate that research report.
But before the letter, did anyone perhaps call
But
him and say,
we
"Prof,
did not.
you made this, so can you provide us with the research,
We did not.
that you did?"
We did not also because, you see, even before you read the research report, you and I, tell me what kind of research, the scope, and what would be the breadth of that research to enable the professor to conclude that in a world of more than 200 countries, we are the least productive. What would be the scope and breadth of that research? But you see, we are responding to him not just this on the basis of these statements. We list a long number of things he has said about Ghanaian workers, which then leads us to conclude that the man is biased towards against Ghanaian workers. He has a morbid hatred for Ghanaian workers.
You think he has a morbid hatred for Ghanaian
morbid
workers?
Hatred for
I don't
Ghanaian
think
workers.
what he's stating is true.
So for example,
true in any way, shape, or form.
For example, he says last year that government should sack all basic school teachers in the public sector, saying that those people are not teaching. What is the basis for saying that? Have you known the conditions under which those people work? Has he traveled across the length and breadth of Ghana to make such a conclusion that the basic school teachers are not teaching, and for that matter, government should sack them? Some years ago, people made law governing the universities and said that there will be a need to put student representative and also worker representative on the university councils. You understand? Because they bring other perspective to teaching and learning at our universities. Prof. Adair is saying that those representatives need to be ejected from the university councils. Okay. He says that 50% of workers are overpaid. In this country today, without research, without any evidence, just look at the fact that the average pay on the single span is just about 2,500 Ghana cedis. Just oppose that with the work people do. Just oppose that with the cost of living in Ghana, and you can conclude without any rigorous research that those people are overpaid. Okay. But you see, Professor Adair is saying something so fundamental that you and I should be concerned about. You are a Ghanaian worker, and there are many other Ghanaian workers across. So it means, for example, that the Togolese journalists are far more superior in terms of productivity than you, than the doctors in Kolebu, than the nurses, than the police officers we have here. You understand? Now, let me ask him a question. If he happens to have a medical condition and he is supposed to undergo a surgical operation, will he prefer going to Kolebu or finding a medical facility in Lomé and do that surgery, since the Togolese are far more superior? He talks about, and there's a question I throw to him openly, he can decide to answer. He talks about the fact that given the same conditions and everything, in Africa, Ghanaian worker is the least productive. That was 10 years ago when he did his research. The 10 years ago will be around 2013. Yeah. In 2011, the World Bank produced a report on wages in the sub-region in Africa and concluded that the individual level pay in Ghana is the least among its peers. So the conditions are not the same.
But is it not a fact that, you know, people always talk about productivity not being commensurate with, you know, wages here in this country?
This is
that the work that we're expecting, you know, Ghanaians who work in the public sector to put out there is not commensurate with, you know, what they actually given to them. This productivity has always been an issue that a lot of leaders have talked about with regard to those in the public sector. And Professor Adair talks about a mentality of Eyabindia, or it is not for us, Eyabindia. I'm not sure Professor Adair is the only person you've heard talk about some of these things. I'm pretty sure you've heard many leaders talk about some of these things. So this is a real perception that exists out there about the Ghanaian worker. Would you agree?
So this is what I call part of the street knowledge. So it becomes almost like something people say without evidence. As we speak, there's no productivity metrics in Ghana. So we have known it for a very long time that when we go to negotiation, governments brings up the productivity thing, and we ask them, how did you define productivity? Is it only productivity? There is something you call total factor productivity. You understand? and then there's labor productivity. Okay. Now, when you say productivity is low, are you referring to total factor productivity, or you are referring to labor productivity alone? In total factor productivity, you are talking about the availability of capital or the right quantity and quality that support the work of labor. Okay. Do we have all the things, the materials, the tools, the equipment with which people can be productive? We don't have these things in this country. Now, if you don't have a productivity matrix with which to measure people's productivity, we ought to be careful, particularly if you're a professor, before you make such sweeping statements about Ghanaian workers. What is the evidence? Has he got the evidence that Ghanaian workers steal? Can you associate with that statement? Have you found evidence working in GHOne that Ghanaian workers steal? Okay. You can have one or two bad nuts in every institution. It's become very difficult when a professor uses the bad nut as the general rule, rather than the many other Ghanaian workers who are killing themselves in the villages without electricity, without good transportation system, and doing their best for this country.
So bottom line, is there productivity in the Ghanaian working space as far as TUC is concerned? Is there productivity? Is the TUC, all the unions, under the TUC and all of that, the public sector, are you productive?
We are productive. Take, for example, the police officers and check the UN ratio for police population ratio. We fall far short of that. But across West Africa, we are reputed to be one of the most safest, peaceful countries. The police officers have made a huge contribution to that, including the army, safeguarding the territorial integrity of this country, and making sure that when you close today at 10, 11 p.m. from this place, you can drive to every part of Accra safely. It doesn't happen in some other locations in Africa. It is not safe to do that. In spite of all the challenges at Kolebu, our nurses and doctors are providing the best healthcare they could possibly provide. And that is for which reason that you will never find Professor there seeking medical care in Togo. He will seek it in Kolebu or in Rich Runabout, Rich Hospital here. Okay. So the point is that it could be better. But even if productivity is low, why do you blame the worker?
So who's to blame for the low productivity?
You see, productivity...
Is it a matter, an issue of you don't have enough remuneration or you don't have the necessary logistics to work with, and all of that?
It's a combination of factors.
Because I remember very well a time back, President Kufuor said government pretends to pay workers and workers also pretend to work. So obviously there's a problem there.
There's a problem. But that problem, we in this country established a Management Development and Productivity Institute as far back as in the 1960s. But they have not been able to produce a productivity matrix in the first to begin with.
So who is to blame for the low productivity?
Who is to blame is government and management. You understand? There are many things about productivity, including, for example, simply launching an awareness program on productivity, which Singapore did. So Singapore is reputed to be one of the most productive countries in the world. They simply began by saying that, look, for 1 year, let's create an awareness about productivity and about work ethics and about attitudes to work. And it was at the state level, funded by the state, telling people that there's something called productivity. And if you do A, B, C, D, you are enhancing productivity. If you don't do it, you are actually decreasing productivity. Okay. People complain about workers not reporting to work on time. We don't even have a system in place at the various workplaces that checks punctuality at work. Who should install that system? Is it the worker? You have state-owned enterprises, CEOs, riding in big cars, costing hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they cannot procure a simple system that will make sure that people report on time and leave.
So it's a leadership problem.
It's a leadership problem.
Okay. Are you expecting an apology from Professor Stephen Addae?
Not directly, but if he apologizes, that's fine with the TUC. But
so what you want from him?
What we want from him is that, given all the things we have chronicled, he should do a self-introspection. That he has been on a trajectory that consistently lambasts workers, without knowing the difficulties workers are going through. And we want to remind him that his claim to fame in this country is what he did at Gimpa. When he took over Gimpa, he didn't find Togolese workers there. He found Ghanaian workers, drivers, security people, people working in the pantry, other lecturers, doctors, and professors like him. They worked with him. And in fact, in some of his narrative, those workers for 2 years forgo pay increase for 2 years in this country to keep Gimpa afloat. They made sacrifices. The least those people expect from the professor is this kind of condemnation from him. We expect him to do self-introspection and to also realize that if you're a professor, you should know what you know and what you do not know. Being a professor doesn't entitle you to talk about everything under the sun.
Okay. All right. Very well. Let's talk a little bit about, this issue between the ECG and the PURC.
Mm-hmm.
And the PURC, I know that you're on the board of the PURC. The ECG is refusing the directive by the PURC to pay a fine of almost 6 million, 5.8 million or so. And they are calling your bluff, saying that you don't have the jurisdiction, you don't have the rights to fine them in that manner, because the ECG is a body corporate. They're a separate legal entity. So why should the board members be the ones to pay a fine if even the PRC has any rights to give them a fine, which they believe they don't?
Unfortunately, I don't want to talk about this issue, except to say that the PRC is working, just like ECG is working.
That's all you say about this?
Yes.
Right. Now, okay, that's fine. That's fine. I want you also to touch on the current situation that we are faced with regard to electricity supply. How is it affecting the TUC?
You will still draw me into this. Let's find time and prepare for a discussion on the electricity, ECG, PURC.
Are you obliged? Are you open to it?
Yeah, I'm open to that.
Very well. Then we'll invite you back so that we can have a conversation about it. Okay. Doc, thank you very much for joining us in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure having you here, and I'm pretty sure that your members of TUC feel that you are representing them well.
Yeah.
We'll see what Professor Adai has to say about it.
We await his comment.
All right. Thank you very much. Dr. Kwabena Nyako Otu is Director of Research at the TUC, joining us for this conversation. And on that note, we will switch over to Kobe Spikey, who is standing in the corner, ready with Tech Daily. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, and Spikey's here in the studio. It's time for Tech Daily. Spikey.
Yo.
What's up?
I'm good, bro. How you doing?
I'm managing.
What are you managing with?
I'm managing life in Ghana. Under the hot sun and the doomsaw and the economy. I'm managing.
You see the way I'm managing?
Yes.
It's because you don't have an AI assistant to help you with things. Otherwise, you won't have to manage. You'll be cruising, you know what I mean?
I need an AI assistant.
You need an AI assistant
to make things very easy for me.
Yeah. We've been talking a lot about AI recently.
Yes, we have.
And since the Galaxy S24 series launched, and they had all these Galaxy AI things we were talking about, our producer, Banini Banana, has been disturbing me to review the thing because he wants to know, do these features actually work? And I've been testing them on other phones, like the Circle to Search feature, which is also available on other Android phones. I've been testing it, and it will shock you to say, sorry, the thing didn't work.
It work, eh?
Yeah, so let me give you a typical example. So I'm on Instagram right now, right? And if you're using a Pixel, if you're using an S24, if you're using any Android device that has this feature, all you do is you tap and hold on the home button over there. You have this overlay, and that's Del P on the screen. I'm just going to circle him, and it's going to search whatever is in that image. So right now it's searching, and what I'm going to find, obviously, it's not going to search for the person. It's going to search. So you see, it says results for people are limited. But guess what? It's actually found the shirt that he's wearing. And it is a polo shirt. So assuming that you're on the internet and you're looking for somebody's wearing an outfit and you like Lantam's suit or his jacket or his shirt or his shoes, you know, you want to cop it, or his watch. So you just wait and then you take a screenshot, then you circle to search and it'll find the exact item. So yes, you can see, I can see his the polo logo in the shirt, and then when you look down here you can see there's a polo shirt, that's a polo shirt, and so Polo Ralph Lauren, you see.
So it does work on other devices that have Google, right?
Yes.
Is it like taking advantage of the Google Lens feature?
So it is taking advantage of the Google Lens feature, and similar thing I can do over here, just circle these devices and it will check my search and then come up with the results. So as you can see, Galaxy S24 Ultra versus Xiaomi, you have Tecno Mobile over there, 14 Ultra. So it knows the context of that image that you just circled. So yeah, if you're a celebrity and you're wearing something and it's not original, somebody will circle to search and they will catch you. If you're wearing, as they call it, Banku, or when we were in school, it was called what? Po.
It was called Po. Sinte.
If you're wearing Sinte, they Supreme. Instead of that, that's Supreme. Or you're wearing Abibas.
Or you're wearing Mike.
Hey, there was this guy's shoe. It had Nike, Adidas, Jordan, all written on the shoe.
It had all the logos.
That shoe needs to get an award.
Or you see the Jordan logo, and the Jordan logo is like this.
he's not dunking. He's
like
afraid of the ball. And Lantam, so you know, with the advent of shorthand writing and slangs, sometimes, you know, we get confused about how to say the right things to people. Maybe you want to communicate to someone. So I'm going to send you a text message here. And as usual, I'll be like, sup, bro, what's going on? And I'm writing it in a very, you know, casual way. I can't.
Very, very informal way.
Make it today, man. What do you say? So, assuming you're my boss, I can't say this to you, right? Mm-hmm. But thanks to AI, once I tap that AI button over there, I can change the writing style and decide that, hey, I want to make it professional. So you say, hello, how are you doing? Unfortunately, I'll not be able to make it today. What are your thoughts on this matter? And then I can make it, maintain the casual, and then I can make it social. So assuming I was putting this on social media, yo, bro, what's up? I can't make it today, man. What do you think? No chill. Sorry, not sorry. And then I can make it polite. So, hello, brother. How are you doing? I regret to inform you that I'll be unable to attend today. What are your thoughts on this matter? And then you can add emojis. It's called Emojify. So, sup, bro? Deuces. What's going on? I can't make it today, man. And put an emoji there. What do you say? Thoughts?
So all of these options are available for you.
Yeah, so you can choose. So,
I mean, depending on the setting of the message, right?
Mood,
where you want to send it to or who you want to send it to.
Exactly.
Or within which context you want to send it.
And I've chosen professional.
Professional, you know,
so you're my boss.
So if you are sending an email, you know, and you are not really sure, you write whatever it is that you want to write in the email and you just tell it to make it professional for you.
Absolutely.
And then it will just do it.
Now you can even change that. You can change the language. Just tap it again and you see chat translation. So you hit chat translation and it can detect any message that you're sending me. So assuming you text me in French, it will automatically translate it to English. And if I text you in English, it will automatically translate to French before it sends it to you. So I don't have to now go into Google Translate, go and translate it there and send it to you. It's going to do it real time, live on the phone, thanks to AI. So let's say I want to say good morning. Let me change it to French and good morning. And as soon as I send that, see, it's changed to bonjour.
Bonjour.
And then send. So I didn't even have to translate it. How are you? And then let me correct that. See, it's even corrected it already. Changed it to bonjour, comment êtes-vous? So send. I don't know.
Bonjour, what?
Comment êtes-vous?
Is that what you were?
Comment êtes-vous? How are you?
Is that what you were taught in French class?
Comment allez-vous?
We were taught comment ça va, ça va.
Ça va,
très bien, merci. Right, Spiky.
So, you want one last feature?
I think we're out of time, and so we have to continue.
Let's go AI to
with
increase
that
the
tomorrow,
time.
right? So AI and the features that AI has simply are amazing, and they make your life easier, as has been demonstrated by Kobia. I noticed that there is AI feature in WhatsApp.
Yeah,
a new one. So we'll talk about that
on Monday.
We'll talk about that.
I talked about it on Monday right here.
All right. Sure. Thank you very much, Spiky, for
Thank
bringing us Tech Daily.